Welcome back to the Velocity channel, where this is your bridge for financial freedom. Today, we're going to go ahead and help Shakisha pay off her loan, and we are also going to put an extra $1,300 a month into her pocket. We're going to be doing this simultaneously. Before we do that, please like, share, and subscribe so that everyone on the planet and beyond can know the power of Velocity Banking. Now listen, I know that the $55,000 at 15%, it seems kind of frustrating because you're looking at the 15% and you're wondering, what in the world am I going to do with this loan? Am I going to continue to pay the minimum monthly payment each and every month? Because I know if I continue this, I'm going to be in it for 5 years. We're going to go ahead and symbolize the 5-year mark with a 5 and a circle around it. But I want you to know, and not to cause you any more distress, but I want you to know that the $1,308 that you are paying each and every month to this loan, not all of it is going to the principal. I don't know if you knew that or not. In these amortized loans, you're going to have a splitting that takes place. And many times, you're going to pay the bank more than you pay the principal. As it is in this case. The interest on this loan, because of the 15%, right, is $687. And that's how much the bank keeps getting each and every month, all right? And the principal, yes, some is coming to the principal, but it's $621 each and every month. Now, when I was in school, they taught me that $687 is more than $621. What we want to do with the Velocity Banking method is we want to go ahead and reverse that, and we want to make sure that more is going to you than it is to the bank. And oh, by the way, we want to ridiculously, drastically lower and pay off this debt obligation so that instead of years, it's only months that you'll be able to get rid of this debt. Is that okay? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to show you the framework of Velocity Banking, all right? So first of all, we're going to be talking about the Velocity Banking principle. The Velocity Banking principle is to make sure that your focus is on, and we've said it before, but it needs repeating, guys, okay? Especially because we are in the Christmas season. We're also coming up on a new year. We want to make sure that we are using our finances to the best of our ability, all right? We're going to make sure that we place as priority time and balance. A lot of people focus on the interest rate and they think that, hey, we have multiple loans, I'm just going to go ahead and pay off the highest interest rate, when that may not necessarily be the best thing for you to do. What you need to focus on is time and balance. Meaning, as we take balance into account, we're going to say, well, wait a minute. The interest feeds off of the principal. So if I lower the principal in a strategic way, I would be able to lower the interest. You see, that way you're not focusing on 2 rabbits and catching 0. Does that make sense? Now let's go ahead and demonstrate to you that principle right now. Let's say you have $2,000, $5,000, or in this case, $10,000 that you can use from your checking, your savings, or even a line of credit. What I want you to do is realize that you're going to be spending at least $10,000 in 6 months. Is that safe to say? Okay. And maybe it's going to be a little lower than that. Maybe those are going to be spending more. But I want you to take advantage and focus on this principle. If we were to take, and please plug your numbers in here, okay? Whatever you have available, because it's going to work the same way. If you have $10,000 and you see that it's just sitting there, you see that there's a potential there to waste it, why not deploy, that is, make this work for your advantage? By taking out that principal. You see, when we take out the principal and take advantage of time and balance, we're going to be lowering the principal, which in turn lowers the interest that we're paying off of the principal. That's right. And why is that? Because the principal is the host and the interest is the parasite. See, parasites need hosts. And so when we are taking out this principal, we'll be taking out or canceling the interest. Now, let's go ahead and see what this looks like. Instead of paying the $1,308 a month and having it split up like this, let's see what happens when we deploy that $10,000 towards the $55,000 at a strategic time. Watch this. All right, so we're looking at the traditional way of doing things, but we're going to be transforming that into velocity banking way of doing things. So this is traditional method. All right, we're going to go ahead and designate that by TB. All right, and this is going to be the velocity banking method. So let's go ahead and make sure there's some boundaries here. All right, then we're going to go down here and designate this as the velocity banking method. So if you were to put in the velocity banking method, of course, the $687 the bank has to take, especially when you're talking about the first month, all right? So the first month, of course, is going to the bank with $687 going to interest, $10,621. Does that make sense? All right. Now, remember, it's because you're deploying that $10,000 towards the principal. Now, it doesn't matter. Please don't be intimidated by the number, okay? What we're talking about is the principle of the matter. Man, I know that's confusing, all right? So because you have the principal here, and then we're talking about the principal, making sure that the principal is that you pay down the principal. So the $10,000 is going to be paying down this principal, but the rule, there you go, the rule is regardless of how much you have to pay down the principal, okay? So here we have $687, and then on the principal side, we have the $10,621. Now, what is that going to do? Well, you're going to see that as we are continuing to deploy in a manner that is wise, that is prudent, you're going to see the number towards the bank is going to get less and less. Okay? Now, for instance, right, if you were to continue to, on a periodic basis, which let's say it's every 5 months, and why is it every 5 months? Well, because remember, you're not using your line of credit or your bank account, whatever it is, like any other bank account, all right? You're going to make sure that there's $2,000 left behind, let's just say in this case, in your line of credit, so that that $2,000 does what? Pay that line of credit off, okay? Let me give you a demonstration here. Okay, we have $2,000 there. Then we have the balance of $10,000, right? And we're going to go ahead and divide that to see how long we're going to be in that line of credit debt, right? 10 divided by 2 is 5 months. So every 5 months, we can deploy, 5 or so months, we can deploy the $10,000 to get rid of the $55,000 at 15% and capture, this is what it's all about, and capture the cash flow that paying off that debt will yield, all right? So we have $687 and then for the interest, okay? And then we have $10,621 going towards the principal. Now, what happens at the 12th month? As we are continuing to deploy the $10,000 every 5-6 months or so, all right? What happens? Let's see what happens. And please, do the math. I want you to do the math as well. Because as you do the math, you'll see that you don't have to get a second job. You don't have to be on the ramen noodles and cardboard diet. You simply don't have to be. Why? Because the money is already there. You're just getting taught how to use it more wisely. Does that make sense? Now, I think every one of you are responsible And that's why I talk to you like such responsible beings. That's why I say don't cut up your credit cards, because I know that you guys are responsible. All right? So at the 12th month, let's just designate it, you're paying $323 towards the bank, while you're paying $985 towards the principal. You're placing yourself as the priority. Isn't that awesome? And so as you're doing that, no wonder you're going to be out of this loan, cash flow sucking loan, in 1 year and 7 months. Oh, by the way, in total interest, you'll only spend $6,749. Merry Christmas. This is how you're going to get your Christmas shopping paid off. This is how you're going to get your car paid off. This is how you're going to get your mortgage or your student loans paid off. Not by going on the red beans and noodles diet, okay? But by looking inside of your finances, seeing what you already have, and then using it in a more wise manner. Does that make sense? So the principle here is to make sure that you're paying off the principal, and to make sure that you are utilizing, if you have multiple loans, make sure that you're utilizing the cash flow indicator method. Is that something that you are unfamiliar with? All right, so let's go ahead and show you a little bit about what the cash flow indicator is, why we actually want that over the debt avalanche method, and how you can utilize it for your loans. Watch this. So, disclaimer, right? I know that these numbers are made up, but it's not too far off from what can really be the case in your situation. Why? Well, because many times lenders take advantage of the ignorant. Now, it's some lenders. I think 99.9% of lenders are great, right? First of all, I just think it's that 0.1% that knows that there are a lot of unlearned, misinformed people out there, and they take advantage of that darkness, all right? So I know that these numbers are made up, but I want you to take a look at your debt obligations, and I want you to see if what your lender is doing is placing in their miscellaneous fees. Come on, lenders. Is there such a thing as miscellaneous fees? Yes or no? Okay, put it in the comments, because you know and I know there is. Okay, nobody asks, hey, what are these miscellaneous fees for? And so that's why you're paying that particular minimum monthly payment. We just wanted to let you know about that. Okay, now $55,000 at 15%, $1,400 a month. Now I know that I just gave you an example where it's $1,308 a month, but many times you'll see those lenders saying, you know what? Let me tack on an extra $100 here. They're not going to notice, and many don't. All right, $25,000 at 12%, $300 a month, and then $30,000 at 10%. We've got $600 a month. Now, what you've been taught is, man, let me pay off the highest interest first, right? Highest interest first loan. Let's go ahead and do that. But okay, so you're doing that. All right, go ahead and do that. And I understand the reason why, because it's the interest that is hurting you. But let's take this and run it through the cash flow indicator method and see why we would rather do what the cash flow indicator method says instead of what someone else says. Okay, let's let the numbers do the talking for us. Let's go. All right, everyone, I do want to let you know the formula for the cash flow indicator method before we let you know in what order to pay off all of these loans, okay? The formula is going to be your loan balance. We're going to go ahead and abbreviate it by LB, all right? And we're going to divide that by the minimum monthly payment, which we're going to say as MM, all right? That's going to equal your cash flow indicator number. All right, now let's get to it. What is this? $55,000 at 15%, $1,400 each and every month. That one is 39. So we're going to go ahead and label it as a 39 with a square around it, all right? We're going to go ahead and circle this for a boundary. 25,000 at 12%, $300 each and every month. That one is actually going to be 83, which means it's going to be a very good cash flow indicator number. We're going to go ahead and get to the designations a little later. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that has a boundary as well. And then the 30,000 at 10%, $600 each and every month. That one is right at 50. So we're going to go ahead and have a boundary around that. And we're going to make sure that is designated with a 50 and a square around that. So what can we conclude from this? Well, we can conclude that yes, this is the highest of the interests, which is a 39 on the cash flow indicator. So that one would be number one. Okay, we're going to go ahead and place this one as number one. We want to go ahead and knock this one out as the priority inefficient loan. Okay, it's the most inefficient loan. The next inefficient loan is actually going to be the one down here, 30,000 at 10%. Now, watch this. This one, right, this loan right here, scored an 83, which means what? It means, can you talk to the banks? Yes, you can. Can you ask them to lower the interest rate so that you have more cash flow? All right. Can you talk to them about maybe restructuring or refinancing this particular loan? Yes, you can. Okay, so that one's going to be the last one on our list, the least one that we need to be concerned about. Now, I know you've probably been raised to pay the highest interest first and then the next highest interest, but notice that that's not the case here. Why? Because with the cash flow indicator method, we are actually wanting you to cash flow more quickly, okay? And if you were to actually put in the work to go ahead and have this one paid off next in order, you'd only be yielding $300 each month versus the $600 each month that you could have been yielding by placing this one as number two on the priority of paying it off, okay? So what the cash flow indicator method does is it shows you which one of the loans is the most cash flow sucking, meaning which one is taking the most out of you in relative to what you're getting, all right? You see that the number one cash flow sucking loan is the one that's $1,400, all right? Now, if this number was $155,000, right, it wouldn't be the case, all right? $155,000 at $1,400 a month, that's not that bad at all, all right? So we want to keep that in mind. We want to keep that in mind as you're paying your loans off. Which loan is going to yield me more cash flow so I can put into assets, so that I can put into paying off other loans and different things such as this. So I'm going to go get out of the way, and I'm going to let you take a screenshot of this. I want you to implement this. I want you to keep in mind the principle of time and balance, because as you're using the velocity banking method, you'll realize that you are creating time collapse transactions. You're taking, like we did in the other one, right? Like in the other lesson, we took you from 5 years to 1 year and 7 months. All right, so that's about 19, 20 months, so that you can have that cash flow of $1,308 each and every month for you, not them. All right. So folks, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Get with us. Make sure you're on our webinar, and we want to wish you a Merry Christmas. We want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.